I belong, where he sat down, and there he went, when he remembered Zion. Oh, how the wicked carry us away, captivity requiring from us a song. How can we sing King Alpha's song in a strange land?
The United States of America, a melting pot of races, nationalities, religions, and ideals. America is changing all right, but has it ever been constant? Since the beginning, immigration has been a major source of population growth, cultural change, and economic prosperity for the United States. Recently, the economic, social, and political aspects of immigration have been under fire. After much preparation, the day had finally arrived. We packed everything into the Corsica and headed out. Our travels took us all over the country, from Chicago to New York, DC to Mississippi, New Orleans to Texas, Mexico to Arizona, and back home to Minnesota. Everybody had something to say.
We haven't even started yet. Someone stole our hubcaps. Thought that wouldn't happen at least till New York.
One of our first stops was Ellis Island, the historical hub for immigration in America. We discovered how many immigrants were welcomed into the United States.
Remember, nobody from the Mayflower ever came to Ellis Island. The first two groups of people who come to America were coming from traditional northern crest countries. All these places like Portugal, the Netherlands, Spain, France, England, Ireland, Germany, Norway, Denmark, Sweden, Scotland. Far south of places like Palestine, Syria, Lebanon, Armenia, Romania, Bulgaria, Poland, Hungary, countries making Czechoslovakia, Yugoslavia. They came from Greece. You have just survived the worst trip of your life, 10 to 12 days in the bottom of a ship. When you get to New York City, the gangplanks are deployed and gets off first and second class passengers. One first class passenger who got halfway down the gangplank, stopped the whole line behind him, turns around, sees you standing on the ship and does this. See ya! He just laughed in your face. 2 hours later you arrive here, you are as angry as a wet hen. You're so angry you're talking to yourself. You're saying, this is New York, why am I here? I don't like this place. Now who observes you talking to yourself? The man in uniform. Does he say, sir, what's wrong? And he walks over to you, goes in his pocket, pulls out a piece of chalk, and puts an X on your good clothes. This is the equivalent of pouring kerosene on a campfire. Your eyes get big and the words just come out your mouth. And when you calm down, the man with the chalk says, excuse me. He circles the X and walks away. You're convinced he's out of his mind. But when you get to the second floor, a ray of hope appears. Someone who can understand your language. And the first thing you do, you begin to vent. There's a man downstairs putting chalk on people's clothing. He's a crazy man. You should have him fired. You got to calm down. The guy downstairs, the chalk isn't crazy. He works for us. We call him a 6-second special. Let me explain something. The X means that he thinks you have a mental problem. Circle around the X, definite head case. What becomes your first American experience with us? We give you a mental test. Welcome to the USA.
The main immigration port in the United States, Ellis Island, processed over 12 million immigrants. Individuals who went on to settle throughout the country.
basically three reasons why people migrate. They come to America for family, for work, or for freedom.
People assume that all illegal immigrants in the United States came in from Mexico across the U.S.-Mexico border. In fact, about 57% of all illegal immigrants in the United States are from Mexico. 45% of all those who are residing in the United States illegally actually entered through a legal port of entry.
In 2000, surveys of foreign-born children residing in the United States found not only a growing Mexican population, but a large percentage hailing from Asia, Europe, Canada, and Oceania, Latin America and the Caribbean, and many different African nations.
Many people have just focused on the undocumented migration into the United States, in fact focused on the symptoms, rather than focus on, what are the broader economic forces, what are the broader family and freedom forces that are leading to the system being broken.
No one can ignore the fact that the population of immigrants in the United States is increasing. The past decade has seen the largest immigrant increase in this country's history.
Filled with impact.
People immigrate all over the world for many different reasons. We got a chance to hear some of their experiences firsthand. You first come to the US, and why did you decide to do that?
Pretty recently, about a year and a half ago. It was a combination of a couple of things, mostly my education and my sister's education, but also the whole family moved, all four of us, my parents as well.
I'm coming from El Salvador, so in El Salvador it was like a civil war for 11 years, so it was tough. So it was no job, obviously, for a better future. That's one of the main reasons why we came here.
The Ethiopian government abused of these people. That's why we escaped to our land. We don't have right. Our people is going, a lot of people is go jail. He kill them. He raped by Ethiopian soldier, our women. That is why we escaped it. We have a political problem.
I'm from England. I was born in England, and we came over to the States in 2003. We came over here through my company in an internal transfer for a 3-year contract on an L1 visa, and we've just renewed that visa for another 2 years now.
It's hard enough just to get here, but the struggles don't end there. Immigrants face many hardships as they try to adapt to life in the US.
My dad knew no one when he came, and he said, the whole experience of not knowing where your next meal is coming from. So I think, folks, if we have 3 meals a day and a roof over our head and a job to boot, we are blessed.
Like the cultural shift, the arriving in the world that is operating completely different than the place where I lived.
Yeah, when I come the first time, I don't know language. It was been dark for me. I don't know how to speak. I don't know how to find the job.
The transition it's gone well, probably because we speak English as a first language, so it's very easy to integrate into an English-speaking community, I think.
If I was to compare myself with other immigrants who don't have a command over the language, the advantage is staggering.
It was interesting when I arrived in New York. The first months, I was really going through interesting experience. For the first time in my life, I felt as a white minority on the subway, and that was always, in the beginning, very strange feeling. And I enter a subway car, and there is about 1/3 or less white people. So as person who comes from a country where there is only white people, I felt very strange.
With increasing immigration, America is becoming more diverse every day. In 1980, the US was 80% Caucasian. In 2005, it was 72%. And according to the Census Bureau projections, by 2050, it will be close to 50%.
America has been pretty welcoming. I think it's a culture that's used to having people from different parts of the world, and so in that sense it's welcoming. But it's not overly. I think people are stick to themselves, especially in the neighborhoods where I come from. People would interact a lot more, so we haven't had that. So in that way, it hasn't been a warm reception, but it hasn't been a very cold one either.
I'm accepted, but that thing still is over there. That is Iranian.
Sometimes just by the way you look, just by the way you speak, just by the way, if you don't speak the language, they're harder on you.
When the first World Trade Center bombing happened in downtown, we scheduled a gallery show with the gallery. Scheduled, everything was there, even the photography for the announcement was taken when the bombing happened. And the gallery owner called me the next morning and said, the show is cancelled. I said, why? He said, because you're Iranian. I said, I'm Iranian, but I'm not Arab. These people supposed to be Arab, has nothing to do with me.
I think it's been almost entirely positive.
Absolutely. Best move we ever made.
Yeah.
You've become Americanized, to a certain extent. And it's still an ongoing issue because it's a real concern, like how much of your culture do you keep and how much do you not?
Recently, the national focus has shifted towards the rising number of illegal immigrants entering the United States. With over 12 million illegal alien workers already inside the US and another 800,000 predicted for each coming year, one issue is whether immigration laws and enforcement systems are working as the public wants them to.
We here in the United States have to accept the fact, in my opinion, that although we're a small percentage of the world's population, we use an overwhelming amount of the resources of the world. Therefore, we have to then live with the fact that people are going to come here to survive. Those who are going hungry, who don't have employment, are going to come.
It's basically a good that has some bad effects. And if you think about the policy challenge, it's how do you maximize the benefits?
There's not the legal means for these workers to come into the United States and have legal status while they're working. That then makes them liable to exploitation through lower wages, through not having the same workplace protections, workplace safety, environmental things, working hour protections, and all that.
This is Quatimone Morphin. In the summer of 2006, he helped organize one of the largest pro-immigration rallies in the country.
We had Asian, and we had Polish, and we had Irish, and we had Indian, and we had all kinds of immigrants that joined along as we walked to Batavia. We started with approximately 100 people, and we ended up over there in Batavia with over 5,000 people.
While he strongly supports immigration rights, he also believes proper border security must be in place.
I'm not against tightening up the borders because every country has to have control of their land, of their country, I'm not saying open up the borders and let everybody in, You have to, nowadays, especially nowadays, you have to be tight with security.
Basically, anybody trying to come into the United States illegally or trying to make an illegal incursion into the United States, it's considered a person breaking the law, breaking the federal laws of the United States government, coming into the United States illegally. It could be via water, via land, via air. It all adds up to the same thing. They're breaking the law.
This is Jose Rodriguez, a Texas Border Patrol agent who deals with this type of security every day. He showed us how many illegals cross the border.
a person who tries to make an illegal incursion into the United States, what happens? How do they go about doing it? Well, the thing is, they come down a trail similar to the one that's down there. They come straight down that trail, get to a certain point, get down to proper swimming fashion. Let's say people can swim better with clothes on, people can swim better with no clothes on. It all depends on how that person feels. They start wading across the water, swimming across whatever you want to do. Up to some portions you can actually walk across. What usually happens is that the people try or put their dry clothes in plastic bags, put those plastic bags on top of their heads and swim across, or either that, use a flotation device, put those bags of dry clothes on top of the flotation device, come across and get to this point right here. Threatening? I don't feel threatened. I'm here to perform my daily duties as a Border Patrol agent.
Thousands of Border Patrol agents are stationed across the US-Mexico border. But some people disagree with this process and the law which governs it.
The majority of those who come here illegally are coming for work. You can't solve that problem at the border. You have to solve the problem at the work site. You have to provide tools to employers so that they can verify the work authorization of the people who come in to take a job.
The globalization of the economy is causing poverty and hunger in many countries that we traditionally have called the third world. While that is happening, there's no one nor nothing, in my opinion, that could stop people from crossing the border.
The wage disparity between their country and that of the United States lures many immigrants to bypass the legal system and come to the US illegally.
Think, okay, I'm living in Mexico, I'm making $10 a week. All I have to do is cross a river and I can make $10 an hour. No one in their right mind would not try it.
Like my aunt, she was an accountant over there. An accountant, she graduated with an accounting degree. And guess what? I was getting paid more working at the Branding Iron, flipping burgers than she was. So what that forced her to come to the States to clean houses. To clean houses as an accountant.
As of 2006, the United States accepts more legal immigrants as permanent residents than the rest of the world combined. But applying for legal citizenship takes time, patience, and money. The process is very selective, and only a small percentage of those who apply receive their green cards.
Some of the people that have crossed the river illegally, they've tried coming here illegally. I know, for example, with my situation, it took us 7 years to get a residency.
Let's see, I can either pay this much, whatever it is, to see if I even get a chance to, the odds are against me that I'm not going to get it, or I pay $1,500 to a coyote to cross me across the border and I can work already. I don't have to wait. Which one would you take?
This is Russell Pearce, the chair of the Arizona State House Appropriations Committee. He has been working on issues regarding immigration in the state for many years.
The illegal alien invasion in this country is huge. The largest, most violent gangs in America are made up of illegal aliens. We've removed in Arizona a minimum of 1 out of every 10 people in this state are illegal aliens. 1 out of 10. So what is the impact? It's huge. It's destroying America. Arizona is #1 in crime. It's Phoenix, the 3rd most likely city to be murdered in. It has become the carjacking, home invasion capital of the world. I think America is woken up. The polls, Zogby, Roper, Pew, CNN, you can't name a pollster hardly that doesn't show the majority of Americans want the laws enforced, the border secured.
With the introduction of new technology, the Border Patrol has tried to step up their efforts to keep illegals from coming in.
Throughout these trails, the Border Patrol has put different sensors in place, from either seismic sensors to infrared sensors, but just something to let us know that somebody's walking through these trails.
To further this effort, some American citizens have organized their own Border Patrol.
You guys heard of the Minutemen coming to assist the Border Patrol in many forms and functions and other stuff, correct?
Yeah. Right.
Okay. Have you guys seen them here right now?
No.
Okay. Why would I comment on something that isn't here?
One such proponent of this movement is Chris Simcox, a former kindergarten teacher from Los Angeles. In 2002, Simcox issued a public call to arms, inviting people to join a Citizens Border Patrol militia, a group whose function is, and I quote, to shame the government into doing its job of protecting the US-Mexico border.
So what we did is we formed a neighborhood watch group. But our neighborhood was going to be the border. And we were going to go out into a dangerous area and begin working side by side with Border Patrol, knowing that the media would come rushing down. I mean, you understand the mindset of the media. That's great, and when they all came rolling in, looking for, quote unquote, Billy Joe Bob redneck vigilante, wanting to shoot Mexicans, they met me and the rest of our well-trained, educated volunteers, and they were disappointed.
This group patrolled the US-Mexico border and within the next 2.5 years sought to assist the Border Patrol by detaining thousands of illegal aliens. In 2004, he teamed up with Jim Gilchrist and created the Arizona Minutemen Project.
Unfortunately, the media won't tell you about all the good things we've done. We made 283 life-saving rescues in the last 5 years of people. And unfortunately, I personally have recovered the bodies of 34 people who did die, including children. Every one of them leaves an indelible mark on your psyche, because you go, my God, here's a human being trying to obtain a better life, and they were left to die in the desert.
On April 21st, 2006, Simcox issued an ultimatum to President Bush to either send National Guard troops to guard the border or his Minutemen would begin construction of its own wall built on private property.
They march in the streets of our country after, brazenly flaunting the fact that they're here illegally, flying the flags of foreign countries, speaking a foreign language, and blackmailing America into saying, you don't want to not give us what we want, or we're going to brand you as a racist.
If you look at some of the stuff that they've written and some of the things that they said, I mean, it's really no different than the Klan. I mean, it's a racist organization that's targeting one group.
We never mention race. It's not about race. Since when did the rule of law, homeland security, and fighting crime become a racial issue?
Recently, proposals have been put forward by the House to criminalize illegal immigrants and construct a large barrier fence along the 2,000-mile border between the US and Mexico. Not happy with the government's response, the Minutemen have begun constructing their own wall built on private property.
The key word here, the fence. The fence, I think, is ridiculous to spend $3 billion on a fence. I mean, you're building a fence that is not, I don't think it's going to deter anybody.
Philosophically, I'm against a wall. We shouldn't have to have a wall. We should have a government that does its job so we don't have to. Mexico's left us no choice. The drug cartels have left us no choice. Walls work. In the areas where we have walls, they work quite effectively.
I personally do not agree with it. I don't think that, after we turned down the Berlin Wall, how come we're building another wall here? What are we now? What does that mean? What does it say to the rest of the world? The biggest fear is that Mexicans are going to overtake us. Well, it's not an if, it's a when. So what's the border going to do then? And what's the wall going to do then?
The debate gets even more complicated when it comes to children.
The kids have come here by not their own choice. Their parents brought them here. So they feel like in a catch-22 situation because they go to school, they excel, they want to progress in life, and then they get out of high school and there's no options for them.
If you're in this country illegally, I don't care if you're 5 years old or 27 years old, you have no right to education. You can't continue to have tell you it's illegal to come here. But if you come here, we got a whole lot of free stuff for you and your family.
Their children, even though they get educated, they can't go to college because they're not eligible for scholarships. Now they passed a law saying that if you are not an Arizona resident and do not have your papers in order, you cannot apply for in-state tuition. So it makes their dream of achieving higher education even more expensive.
Many of them are hard-working people who come here for a better life. And I'm not sure I wouldn't either, especially knowing that once I got across the border, I had a job, free health care, free education, food stamps, government subsidized housing, and nobody's going to enforce the law. Buddy, I'd be coming too. I mean, somewhere along the line, there has to be a connection between, what we say and what we mean.
Although many have tried, there is currently no resolution put forth by Congress that offers a solution to all aspects of this debate.
This is a state of emergency in all reality. This is a national crisis. Enough is enough. And we as politicians and elected and appointed leaders must have the courage and the integrity to enforce our laws with compassion, but without apology.
Well, a lot of times all it takes is to remind them once again that, well, your great-great-grandfather or your grandfather came on the boat, and you want to remember how that he would tell you stories. Well, yeah, blah, blah. So then they figure out that we're not really all that different.
So anybody who tells you that immigration is all good is lying. Anybody who tells you that immigration is all bad is lying. It's somewhere in the middle. It's got both elements, and that's why it's such a difficult issue to address.
There's no set answer. There's no way to stop it indefinitely. There's no way that's going to make everyone happy. You're not going to come to a compromise.
In a sense, immigration, when it's controlled and when there's quotas, and again, when the natives have a chance to accommodate to the new cultures, and the new cultures coming in have a time to assimilate to ours, and there's a blend that has strengthened our country. It has made us what we are.
This is a challenging issue, but I think that if people are responsible about it, they really could try to come together and find a common middle ground so that immigration can work for America's future in the same way in which it's worked for America in the past.
The immigrant population in the US is growing and becoming more diverse every day. There are many repercussions of these developments. But is America really evolving differently than it has in the past? At present, there is no clear-cut solution to this issue. The social, racial, and economic face of America is changing. But can this country respond, adapt to these changes, and grow as a nation because of it? That is up to us.
The immigration scene, shining and feeling clean. Could it be a sin? I got stopped by the immigration man. He said he doesn't know if he can let me in. Let me in, immigration man. Can I cross the line and pray I can stay another day? Let me in, immigration man. I won't toe your line today. I can't see it anyway. There he was with his immigration face, giving me a paper chase. But the sun was coming, 'cause all it was, it looked into my space, stamped a number over my face, and it sent me running. Won't you let me in, cross the line and pray I can stay another day. Won't you let me in, immigration man? I won't toe your line today, I can't see it anyway. Here I am with my immigration form, it's big enough to